Hello, ma'am. My name is Mark Soto. I'm the executive director of the Honor Bowl. And it's an absolute honor to be at your school doing this event. The Honor Bowl is known as the greatest high school football showcase in America. And there's a reason why we do this. And there's a reason why we say it's more than just a football game. So what I want to tell you in just a brief moment of time is why we do this event. What is the passion behind this event? What is the heart behind this event? I'm a coach, just like these coaches. I hate when people call me a promoter. I'm not a promoter. I'm a dad. I'm a coach. That's what I do. I had two boys that joined the military right out of high school, your age. Early enlistment, one went Army, became one of the best Army snipers we have in our nation. The other one went Marines. Both of them saw terrible deployments. Deployments to Iraq, where they saw friends of theirs die. Some lose their legs. One to Afghanistan, same thing. But in 2010, there was a deployment that happened that absolutely changed my life and the life of the ones that helped me form this group. In 2010, my Marine son was going to a place in Afghanistan. And what we would do is we would go to Camp Pendleton, and what we would do is we'd buy him a keg of beer, and we'd say, let's have a party, let's go get some. But this one was different. When they went to Afghanistan this time, my son never told me where he was going until that particular day. We were at the party, he grabs me by the shoulder, and he said, Dad, let's go take a walk. So we take a walk. And I go, son, your friends are all here. Do you really want to do this now? He goes, Dad, you need to know where I'm going. And it was at that time, he said, with his arm around me, he said, Dad, we're going to the Helmand province of Afghanistan, to a place called Sangin. Do yourself a favor, don't Google it. What do you think I did? I immediately got my phone out, and right there with my son standing right there, I pulled out the phone and I said, son, is this where you're going? Is this, wait, the British Royal Marines just lost 200 men. They had 400 men lose their legs. Is this where you're going, son? Yes, Dad, that's where we're going. We said goodbye, and 2 days later, he was on a helicopter, landing at his fob. And when he was landing at the fob in his helicopter, with all the men ready to go, they could hear pinging coming off the helicopter. As they were landing in the relative safety of their base, they were getting shot at. When he looked out the window, they saw they were surrounded by white flags. Now, when we think of white flags, what do we think of? Surrender, right? No, not to the Taliban. What the Taliban does is they put white sheets on the ground, and with black spray paint, they spray paint, death to the Americans, death to the infidels. That's you and I, guys. It wasn't a matter of days later that the first patrol, after they acclimated, left the base. They get 1,000 yards down the road, and they hear this boom! Oh my God, what happened? The boom was so loud that it shook the fob. Guys, the patrol just left. Guys, are you okay? Radio silence. Something happened to our patrol. Let's load up. They're not answering our calls. They load up. They head out the base. What happened to that patrol that just left? When they arrived at the scene, under enemy sniper fire, they found that the first Humvee that went out ran over a roadside bomb. The bomb was so big that it lifted the Humvee off the ground, twisted it like a corkscrew, and 4 Marines were vaporized instantly. This is where it gets weird, guys. I'm at home in Sacramento, California. Remember, I'm a coach just like these coaches. And I get a call from a neighbor up the street. Coach, your son's a Marine, right? Yes. Something happened to our neighbors. Something happened. I saw men with dress blues come up, and we heard screaming, we heard crying. Coach, I think something happened to their son. What's their number? Give me their number. I want to call them. I want to see if I could help. So I call, and that's where I was able to talk to Victor, to Patty and Tom Schumacher. They were on their way to Dover Air Force Base to get their son, who was killed in action. And they said, Coach, will you help us? Will you help us with the media? Because there's a lot of people. I'd be honored to help you. So honored. And then they come home, and I'm getting to know them, and they tell me, Coach, will you eulogize our son? You want me to eulogize your son? Yes. Will you eulogize your son? I'd be honored. It'd be the greatest honor of my life. So I eulogized him. I saw the flag-draped coffin. I heard the playing of taps. And I saw the casket lowered into the ground. This is where it gets freaky, guys. 2 days later, my son calls me from Afghanistan. Very rare. He calls me on the satellite phone. Dad, Dad, Dad. Son, are you okay? Are you okay? Dad, Dad. My colonel tells me a coach eulogized Victor Dew. Was that you, Dad? Yes, son. I buried him. I eulogized him, son. He goes, Dad, I was there. I was the first vehicle on the scene. I cut him out of the vehicle. Changed my life. Changed my life. And it was at that time where I got my friends together. I said, I got to do something to help. I got to do something for these guys that are losing their legs, that are getting buried, the women and men that are dying for our freedom. And that's when I invented, with my friends, the Honor Bowl. 2010. Over the years, this event has become the greatest high school football showcase in America, with over 223 high schools, 15 states participating in this event. Now you know the heart of the Honor Bowl. Guys, there's a reason why we say this is much more than a football game. It's by the spirit of your athleticism, by the spirit of you guys going out there and playing a football game. Every fan that buys a ticket, everybody that comes, every sponsor that participates, this is your way of giving back. Guys, it's an honor to bring this event to your school. An extreme honor. Now you know the heart. Now I want you to meet a 3-5 Marine, a Marine that was there with my son, was there when that explosion happened. Let's give it up for First Sergeant Freddie Torres.
Fellas, ladies, gentlemen, it's a tremendous honor and privilege to stand in front of you today and share a little bit of wisdom, a little bit of encouragement as you take the field this afternoon. Just like Coach said, my name is Freddie Torres. I was born and raised in Tucson, Arizona. I joined the Marine Corps in 2006. 9/11 was pretty shortly after I joined the Marine Corps. So that was pretty fresh, and that was one of the reasons why I joined the Marine Corps. 2006, I joined. I go to 3-5. I do 2 deployments with them, and then I end up in Afghanistan on my 3rd deployment, what he just talked about. On October 13th, when we lost those 4 Marines to that roadside bomb, I was about 1,000 yards away in my patrol base, and I heard and we felt that explosion. A couple months later, fast forward to December, I'm going to share a story and tie it in on challenges and adversity at the end. December 30th, 2010, there was another squad of patrol of Marines out in Afghanistan. They had just gotten to this area. They were talking to local nationals, gaining atmospherics, gaining intelligence. They were out for about 4 hours. They were making their way back into the patrol base. On the back of the patrol base, there was 25 Marines out total. The back of the patrol base, one of the Marines stepped on an IED, an improvised explosive device, a roadside bomb. That bomb was 25 pounds big, and it was set to kill all 25 of those Marines. Luckily and thankfully, only 4 pounds went off that day. That Marine that stepped on it, his foot was shattered, leg was broken. They got him out of Afghanistan. He's fine to this day. But now there's 20 pounds of explosive sitting out there. The Marines need to go out there and pick it up or blow it in place so the Taliban doesn't use it against them. So the squad leader, the sergeant, the one that's in charge of that patrol, in charge of those Marines, made the decision, instead of taking out all 25 Marines, 24 now, let's just take out 4, go set a explosive on it, blow it, so the Taliban doesn't use it on them. So they did that. 4 Marines go out, 3 Marines go around the corner, hold securities with their rifle, and the sergeant, the squad leader, placed the demolition down on the floor. He's about to blow it and pull it, 60-second timer. From the east, the Taliban had been watching. They'd been watching from these murder holes with the rifles down, ready to open up. And they did. They ambushed the Marines, spraying left and right. The sergeant that was about to blow it in place picks up his rifle, starts running in the direction of fire, shooting his rifle back at them. He sees a waist-high wall about 20, 30 meters away where he was going to take a knee and engage the Taliban. Once he got to that knee, started running there, he fell on his back and realized his pants were completely filled in red. He had been shot twice, once on each leg. From the corner of his left eye, he sees one of the Marines that was holding Overwatch security running towards him, sprinting in. He comes in, takes his medical scissors out, cuts his pants off. Blood was gushing out. His femoral artery had been shot. So he puts his fingers in the wound, puts his palm on it, applies gauze, applies a tourniquet, controls the bleeding for a couple minutes, temporarily. That Marine that applied medical care called over the radio, I need my quick reaction force out here. I need a stretcher. My sergeant is dying. We need to get him out of here. Couple minutes pass, all while still engaging the Taliban. The stretcher gets out there. They put the sergeant on the stretcher on the count of 3. We're picking him up, and we're getting him to the patrol base where the truck is ready. There's a helicopter inbound ready to take him out of there. On the count of 3, all guns blazing. Everyone opens up. They pick him up, and they're moving him the last 200 meters. As they're moving him, the sergeant that's laying on the stretcher puts his hand up, and he sees it's his best friend, another sergeant, carrying him. He sticks his hand out, and he holds the hand of the other sergeant, and he says these last words to him. Tell my mom I love her, and tell my boys I'm sorry. Squeezes tight, and he says, tell my mom I love her, and tell my boys I'm sorry. His hand falls. They get him in the back of the truck. They get him out of there. The sergeant made it. He got to San Diego where he recovered. Let me tell you why I share that story with you. When he got to the hospital, the doctors told him, next week your leg's getting amputated. Too much nerve damage, too much vascular damage, it's getting chopped off. Here's your retirement paperwork. You're getting medically retired. You can no longer serve in the Marine Corps. This was January of 2011. That sergeant challenged the doctors. And he said, give it a couple of weeks, give it a few weeks before you finalize that decision. The doctors were hesitant on it, but they agreed. And they gave him a few weeks, and those few weeks turned into hard work. 2 to 3 physical therapies scheduled a week turned into 2 to 3 physical therapies a day. Every single day, grinding in and out, challenges, fallbacks, setbacks, adversities. But he pushed through it because that sergeant knew that in April, when the battalion got back from that deployment, he wanted to stand wherever they landed and hug every single one of those squad members that saved his life that day. I tell you right now, it wasn't easy. That sergeant went through a lot. But mid-April 2011, when that plane landed at March Air Force Base in Riverside, California, and that staircase came down, I stood at the bottom of that staircase and I hugged every single one of my squad members that saved my life on December 30th, 2010. I don't share that story to put myself up here, fellas. I share that story because of the challenge that I went through. Those 4 hard, brutal months, adversity, roadblocks, setbacks, times I wanted to give up, times I didn't want to continue, times I said, go ahead and take the leg. But mentally, I had to push through that. I had to see a bigger picture. And I just kind of talked about my 18-year career. Let me tell you, being a Marine, that's not how I am defined. That's not how I want to be remembered. 2 years ago, God brought me to my knees and he said, it's time to share this story, because for the longest time, I wouldn't share it. For the longest time, I had guilt and I had shame living with it because I'm the one that made the decision to go out there. I'm the one that got injured and left my squad there. And God brought me to my knees and he said, it's time to share it. And I share this story also because of the challenges that you might face. Not just out on the football field, with the pain, with the injury, with the wrong call, with the mistake, with the bad decision you made, because I lived through it. You can get through it. But also for any challenges you face in life. Family, relationship, job, fill in your blank. You can get through it mentally. And again, talking about 2 years ago when God brought me to my knees, I now get to minister to youth every single week in my youth ministry as a youth leader through my church. And I get to minister to young adults every single week. And I get to minister to men's in a men's Bible study group. True believer that God kept me around so that I can share this story, and not just my combat trauma with the Marines that I get to serve with, but my childhood trauma. My childhood trauma of what I went through with a mother raising 5 kids on her own. Having a dad in and out of the picture. That trauma is what I get to bring to the table now that God kept me around for to share with you. Best of luck tonight. Best of luck the rest of the season. God bless every single one of you.
First Sergeant Freddie Torres. Coach, we have 25 banners set up of the 25 men that died from the 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines. We're going to form a flag line, and one of your men is going to have the honor of carrying the flag through that tunnel when your team is introduced. Who is the man that you're going to give that honor to?
It's going to be Don Lombardo.
Don Lombardo. It's okay. Go. So when it's time for your team to be announced, I'll invite you over to the tunnel. We'll give you the flag. Whoop it up. Have fun with it, right? But God bless you, son. God bless you. At the end of the game, we will be giving out a character award and an MVP award. Your coach will choose who will be the young man that will be winning the character award. That's for sportsmanship, spirit, brotherhood, the one of you that exhibits that on the football field. There will be the media in attendance that will award one of you the MVP trophy, all right? And at the end of all that, on the 50-yard line, after the handshake, that's when we will give this coach the 2024 Arizona Honor Bowl Championship trophy, right? Come on. Come on. Come on. Coach, we have decals that we ask to give to every player. It goes on the back of the helmet to commemorate your playing in the Honor Bowl. Guys, stand up. Arms up. Arms up. Stand up. Stand up. The 3-5 Marines have a saying, and that's get some. When I say 3-5, you say get some as long as you can. 3-5! Get some! 3-5! Get some! 3-5! Get some! Go get some, guys.